Covana maintenance video. A couple things that you will require is silicone-based spray to spray the outside extrusions and a towel to wipe them down just to spread out the excess silicone that is left behind. When lubricating the Covana's outside extrusions, you are required to lift the unit up into the air. Once fully lifted up in the air, then you will be able to start spraying the silicone-based spray on the outside extrusions. When greasing the internal jacks, you will require a synthetic grease as well as a Robinson screwdriver. Another service that should be done when servicing the Covana is lifting the cover up off of the top of the tub to access the internal sprockets in the bottom of the jack. In order to do this, you will have to lift up the Covana. When lifting up the Covana, then you will access the bottom jack by lifting up the lower extrusion to access the interior jacks. You should only be able to lift up the Covana about 6 feet or so, and at that point you should be able to access the bottom of the jack. To access the bottom of the jack, you will require a Robinson screwdriver to remove the Robinson screw. When removing the screw from the bottom of the extrusion, loosen it off and remove. Once removed, you will have to find a piece of wood or something nearby to support the extrusion. You can also use the screwdriver that you just used. Just be careful when you're lifting it up so that the extrusion does not slam down to break the buttons off. Once in this position, the main focus is just to spray the internal sprockets. The sprockets hold the chain in place and should be lubricated every service interval. By spraying synthetic grease inside of the jack, you are lubricating the sprocket and somewhat of the chain at the same time. You don't have to spray a lot inside, just enough to cover the sprocket. To access the internal jack, you will require a Robinson head screwdriver to remove the top 5 screws. Once the screws are removed, then you will be able to access the internal jacks. Be sure not to use power tools, as you may strip or break the Robinson screws. Once the top 5 screws have been removed, you will be able to access the internal jacks of the Covana. Once the jacks are fully extended, then you will be applying the synthetic grease to the interior jacking portions on the moving parts using the synthetic grease. Other maintenance items that should be looked at while servicing the Covana is spraying the limit switches with synthetic grease to allow for them not to freeze up in the chance of cold weather snap. Lightly spray the synthetic grease on the limit switches.